Good morning, Chicago. Welcome to the Bears Huddle podcast, your UK take on all things Chicago Bears. Guys, we're going to talk tackle troubles, both on the right and the left-hand side. The right ones are not so bad. It is about money on the right-hand side, and the left-hand side is about who the hell starts there next year for the Bears. We're also going to talk stadium drama. There is seemingly a whole number of states in the union that want the Bears to come and play there. We've now got Iowa joining in the campaign to try and get the Bears to come to the Hawkeye State. Is that a possibility? I don't know, guys. With the Arlington Heights development, with the Gary one, with the Portage one, there's just so many options there. We'll talk, obviously, all things Bears Stadium shortly. Hopefully that will get resolved very, very soon. Hopefully Kevin Warren can get shovels in the ground somewhere. Obviously, he's not going to get the shovels in the ground, is he? Can't imagine him getting his suit dirty. Right, let's talk tackle troubles first of all. Let's talk Darnell Wright. Darnell had a pretty good season on the right side of the Bears offensive line. In fact, the Bears offensive line did very, very well indeed last season. I think once the offensive line was settled with Trapillo at left tackle, Tooney at left guard, obviously Dolman as the centre, Jonah Jackson and Darnell Wright. And given the fact the Bears ran a lot to the right, shows the confidence they had in Wright and Jackson to blast the big holes for Swift and Munungai. Darnell Wright is entering the last year of his rookie deal, therefore is eligible for an extension. The Bears have a big decision to make on the whole Darnell Wright situation. Is it that now is the time to extend him? Is it now that they look at it and they go, yeah, let's extend him now. Let's put the extension in place. Or do they wait till the end of this year? Now, look, another situation could be that if we wait till the end of this season and he has another good season like he's just had, the price tag could go right through the roof for Darnell Wright. Obviously, Darnell Wright is still under his first contract for the 2026 season. We're making around $1.145 million base salary and will represent a cap hit around 6.6. But before thinking about his long-term deal, the Bears will have to first think, are they going to exercise his fifth-year option for 2027, which I think they probably are going to. The projected price for Darnell Wright is expected to be somewhere around $20.5 million. Given the fact that he has been a very, very impressive pick at right tackle. Now, I suppose the Bears are grateful that he wasn't selected for the Pro Bowl, because that could have raised that price tag to around about $25.5 million, although he was named a second team All-Pro. Wright's extension, though, will be a very, very pricey one for the Bears on a 3 or 4 year deal. Stories are that the deal could be somewhere between $25 and $30 million to secure Darnell Wright long term. If you look at what other tackles are currently making in the league, these are the top paid defense right tackles. Now, obviously, right tackles don't, on the whole, make as much money as the left tackle. The left tackles are the guys who make the big money. So, Penei Sewell is the top paid right tackle in the league at $28 million with Detroit. Lane Johnson of the Eagles is around $25 million. Luke Goedeke of Tampa Bay at $22.5. Taylor Moton, 22. Zach Tom of Green Bay, 22. Jawan Taylor from KC at 20. Titus Howard of Houston, 18.6. Brian O'Neill from Minnesota, 18.5. Spencer Brown from Buffalo at 18. And Mike McGlinchey at Denver at 17.5. Certainly, Darnell Wright is going to want to slot in somewhere between Lane Johnson and Penei Sewell in terms of money. It depends whether how highly the Bears rate him. Obviously the big issue around that at the moment is the cap space. Bears are over cap at this moment in time, and between now and mid-March, Ryan Poles has got a lot of hard work to do to bring that cap down and to, basically trying to either restructure deals, cap casualties, just do something to make that money there, do some trades. There's a lot of options there on the table for Ryan Poles, and I certainly don't envy him. It's not something I would want to have to sitting down every day and looking at and saying, right, look, Tremaine Edmonds, do we cut him? That would save us a whole host of money. Cole Kmet, do we really need Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland? Could we trade Cole Kmet, keep Loveland as our tight end one and bring in a cheaper option, instead of Cole Kmet? That's an option I think that they may well be looking at. Dondre Swift, $8 million, 8.5, 8.8 million next year. Again, do we see Mununga as the running back one? Do we go for a cheaper option at running back and allow Swift to go? Do we cap casualty him? So there's a lot of options there that he will be looking at. There's also restructures as well. It may be that he's looking at restructuring the likes of Joe Tooney, DJ Moore. DJ Moore obviously is the top wage earner as well, to generate that space there, to generate this ability to do these deals and to extend people and to sign our own free agents before even thinking about going out and getting further free agents. Because look, this organisation does need strengthening on the defensive side of the ball. That is, the thing. I think the offense, the most of the money and most of the concentration last off-season went into the offense, the rebuild of the line, having enough weapons for Caleb. The offense is fairly consistent and will be fairly consistent, I think, going into next season. So it's going to be the defensive side of the ball where we're going to need free agents. Maybe another linebacker if you can cut Tremaine Edmonds. The safety room needs addressing as all the safeties are out of contract. The defensive line needs a whole host of addressing, particularly at the edge rusher position, finding someone at the opposite edge to Montez Sweat, although Diadi Ingbo is still felt to be a big part of this team going forward. His deal is another one that could well be restructured. So there's a lot of options there, but there is talk obviously around extending Darnell Wright, and I certainly think this is something the Bears can, will, and should be looking at doing now, rather than a little bit further down the line where it could end up costing them a whole host more money. Guys, let me know your thoughts on Darnell Wright. Would you extend him this summer, or would you let him play out that option and then obviously allow him to obviously, go into free agency, but then obviously get into a bidding war for him? Like I said, he is entering the last year of his rookie deal. We then do have to obviously look at that fifth-year option for 2027. So, it's a bit of a way down the line, but do we really want to be gambling with this situation? Do we really want to look at it in terms of, looking at it in terms of about 2 years, just leave it, don't touch it, and then his value skyrockets? What do we need to do at this point? Right, let's move along a little bit. Now, look, left tackle issues. Ozzy Trapillo came in and kind of made that left tackle spot his own, with the way he was playing towards the end of the season. The start of the season, Braxton Jones was there. Braxton, I think, was a bit of a disaster. The guy puts up about as much resistance as a traffic cone. In fact, I think you'd be better off playing a shopping cart at left tackle rather than Braxton Jones, if we're being wholly honest on that. Theo Benedette had some snaps there. So there was other players that came in, but Ozzy Trapillo obviously has this patella tendon injury. We don't know how long Ozzy Trapillo is going to be out for. We're looking at possibly, it is going to be into next season. We know that, but how far into next season are we looking? I think if it's the first couple of games, you kind of look at it and go, right, we go with what we've got. We kind of use Tui to help cover out. We put some tight ends in to help block. We do some of the situations there just to kind of help us get through until Ozzy comes back. But even when Ozzy comes back, it's going to take time for him to build up to game speed, to be ready to go at full game lick. But, coming back from an injury as major as that requires surgery, you are going to be looking at a substantial amount of time at actually getting back to full game fitness. If it's even further into the season, so we're talking most of next season, then what do the Bears have to do? Now, the options the Bears currently have, obviously, Braxton Jones is a free agent. I would no way, shape or form want Braxton Jones brought back. I think that would be a huge, huge mistake from the Bears. Options obviously include, not Colston Loveland, obviously. Where's my slide gone? There it is. Options include Theo Benedette and Kieran Amagaji. So do we go with those two and kind of do a left tackle by committee? Theo Benedette certainly, did have his struggles last season. And even when we went into that playoff game against the Rams, rather than use Benedette, who was fit, the thoughts were move Joe Tooney to left tackle. Is that an option? Tooney starts at left tackle next season. Jordan McFadden's re-signed, and Jordan McFadden comes in and plays left guard. Is that something the Bears are looking at as being an option, or does Kieran Amagaji finally get a situation, if he can stay fit, to play at that left tackle position? Or do the Bears go out and find themselves a fairly cheap free agent on a 1-year rental? Is that something the Bears look at? In terms of, we go out there, we look at the free agent market, we look at some of the older guys, the more experienced guys, and we kind of say, right, these guys could be that guy for 1 year and 1 year only until Ozzy is back at full lick. That's going to be a situation that could well be looked at by the Bears. Or is it the Bears go out and draft someone? But then you've got a rookie starting in the NFL. If it's not a first round pick, you've got a guy or even a second round pick to some situation. You've then got a situation where, is that guy going to be ready to start from week one? Probably not. Is he a plug and play starter? No. But do you want to be spending a first or second round pick on a left tackle when you have other needs? there's a lot of decisions to make. I mean, you look at some of the older guys in this free agent market. You've Calvin Beecham, who is 36. You've got Cam Robinson at 30. DJ Humphries at 32. Some of these other options here. These are sort of the free agent options at left tackle at this moment in time. Do you go with someone like those guys on a 1-year rental until Trapillo gets back? What is the situation? It's certainly a decision the Bears need to make and will need to look at, depending, of course, on what the full injury kind of diagnosis is and the length of recovery for Mr. Ozzy Trapillo. Right, let's talk a little bit of stadium, shall we? Right, so there's a new name entered the field of stadiums, of bidding for the Bears stadium, and that is Iowa. Yes, that's correct. Iowa, guys, you heard me correct. That's an interesting one. That really is a very, very fascinating one for me, looking at this situation. Could the Hawkeye State do it? Now, they have introduced a bill that makes the situation very favourable for Chicago and for the Bears to come to Iowa. It's a bill that will expand the state's major economic growth attraction program, creating financial incentives. It says this could lure an NFL team seeking to build a stadium in the Hawkeye State. This is what Republican Scott Webster said in a statement. He said, after years of the Bears fans seeking a refuge across the Mississippi River from the incompetence, corruption, and punitive tax and regulatory climate of the state of Illinois, it's time for the team to join their fans on the west side of the river. Iowa can offer the Bears everything they need to build a world-class facility, tax certainty, the public infrastructure they need in a state led by common-sense conservatives. The recruitment pitch didn't end there. He went on to say this: while Illinois and Indiana squabble over this issue, we're ready to get off the sidelines and get in the game. So, look, it looks like Iowa are entering this situation and offering the Bears a tax-free situation. They're offering the infrastructure. They're offering all the kind of things that the Bears have wanted from a guaranteed stadium. Obviously Iowa is one. Indiana, we've seen the similar situation with both Gary and Portage, both putting in bids in terms of that freedom of the tax situation. So the Bears, again, it's back up in the melting pot again. It really genuinely is. Now, look, I think the vast majority of us would love the Bears to remain in the state of Illinois and Arlington Heights. If you can't rebuild in the state, within the city, I think it looks like it's going to have to be Arlington Heights if you're going to stay in Illinois. But the situation is that is the Illinois state government, is J.B. Pritzker, who, look, you can have whatever thought you want on J.B. Pritzker. I'll keep mine on Pritzker to myself. Going to do what is needed, what is required to keep the Bears in Illinois. Is he going to realise that he could lose the state's NFL team? They could go into the Indiana, which is still part of the Chicagoland area. Or is he going to kind of just basically do what needs to be done and get this deal done and get the shovels in the ground in Arlington Heights? This is a big, huge one, a big decision for the Bears. Now, financially, looking at it from an outsider's point of view, looking at the offers on the table from Indiana and from Iowa, it certainly seems that the Republican-led states of Indiana and Iowa are offering much more business-friendly tax incentive deals to get the Bears to those states. Could it be a situation where Kevin Warren and the team owners sit down and look and say, look, as much as we want to stay within the state of Illinois, as much as we want to remain, within our home state, this is too attractive to turn down. This is financially too attractive to turn down and will enable us to do other things. So, where does it go from here? Now, look, teams moving out of their area is not an unheard of thing. The Dallas Cowboys play in Arlington. The San Francisco 49ers play in Santa Clara, which is 42 miles from downtown San Francisco. They're not the only teams that don't play. The two New York teams play in New Jersey, for goodness sake, out of state. So there is precedence there for this happening. The Bears have huge decisions to make. Now, look, like I said, I think the vast majority of Bears fans want Bears to remain in Illinois, but we've got to trust the team to do what is right for the team, to do what is right financially for the team. And if you get a financial package promoted to you, like Indiana, like Iowa are doing, then maybe you take it. Maybe you turn around to Illinois and say, look, sorry, you just ain't got enough, and you're not protecting the right people here. You're not looking at what this does. I think, you look at a situation where the Bears will bring in jobs, they will bring in money within the state, they will bring in money to the people. And I think there's too often a situation where people look at it and go, it's giving money to millionaires, it's giving money to billionaires. But they generate income, they generate jobs, they generate financial growth. And financial growth brings increases in wages, brings increases in jobs, which benefits people. At the end of the day, that's the best way to do that. So what happens, guys? What happens with this stadium? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching the Bears Huddle podcast. If you've enjoyed the content, please like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you soon here on the channel. Bear down.